friends, I invite you to this video lecture on Advanced MS Excel, focusing on Chapter 2, Data Import, Export into Excel. We will be learning how to import any text file into Excel and export any Excel file. I am CMS Mehta, your mentor for the day. If you are auditing any organization, the management may not give you direct access to their data, but would be happy to give you reports which would be most likely in some kind of a text file. Now, you can't do any kind of serious analysis if the data is in some kind of a text file. In this session, we'll be learning how we can import any text file to Excel. We will also be learning how we can export an Excel file to a text file and how we can publish any Excel file to web. Now, the overview of we'll be learning how we can import any data from a text file to Excel. We will also learn how we can export data to text file and how we can save any workbook to a web page so that we can publish the web page. Now, a moot question: why we need to import data into Excel? See, if we go for audit, any organization would be giving us data in some kind of a text file, and it won't allow us access to directly to the databases because of security and all those reasons. The data which the organization would be giving to us would be in some kind of a text file. If we input the data again into Excel, it would need a lot of time. Plus, it will. Now, if we are to feed whole of this data again into Excel, it will involve a lot of time. Now, by importing data into Excel, we can save all that time and we can save all the transcription and transposition errors. Excel gives us a facility where we can import any kind of text file into Excel, and it helps us import and organize massive data sets again into Excel. Most likely this organization would be giving us the file in as a text file, and if we look at text files, we have various types of text files which are possible. We could have a tab delimited text file, we could have comma separated values, we could have fixed width or fixed length text file. Now there could be different kind of text files. The organization would be giving us text file which could be any of these three, and all of these three kind of text files can be imported into Excel or can be also be linked to Excel, so that if there is any change in the original text file, the data in the Excel file also gets changed. Now let's try to understand what are these different types of text files which are there. First kind is a delimited file. Delimited means where the fields of data are limited by something. It could be tab delimited file, it could be limited by any of the characters which are there. It could be through some kind of a comma, some kind of a dash, any special character again could be used to delimit the files. Now delimit means where one field and another field we have got a differentiator. Now if we see this tab delimited file, we have got these delimiters where the data is there, and at the end of every data we have got some kind of a tab key. So these fields are separated by a tab key. So let's take an example. Here we have imported the account where sanction limit is expired. The bank has given us data which is in tab delimited file. Here we can see the delimiters where the bank has given us data which is in tab delimited form, and here you can see we have got this tab key which is segregating the different fields which are there. Each of these fields is segregated: the account number, account name, sanction limit, sanction rate. All of these are segregated or delimited through the use of tab. Now here tab has been used. You could have other delimiters also, like you could have a pipe, you could have a dash, you could have a slash. So whatever delimiter is used, it can be handled by Excel to convert it into different fields. The other kind of text file again could be CSV, which are comma separated values. Here the fields are being separated by some kind of comma. So all these are being separated by a comma. So where comma is segregating the different fields, it could be considered to be some kind of a delimited, where the delimiter is a comma rather than any other character. So wherever we got comma separated values, the fields are segregated based on wherever comma is placed. Now CSV is a native Excel file which is automatically opened by Excel also. That is why if you look at the file, it shows it as an Excel file with an A. Now if you look here, then this is expired limit CSV file. Now this file automatically is shown as an Excel file with a. Now it shows that this is file which can be handled directly by. So the files could be tab delimited files or any kind of delimited files, or comma separated values, where in comma separated value also there is a delimiter, which in this case is a comma. Now other kind of files could be fixed length files. In fixed length files, the width is fixed. So here each of the fields is of a uniform width or uniform length. Okay, this could also be some kind of a text file which can be handled by Excel and can be imported again by Excel. In this case, the file is having fixed width. In this case again, we see that bank has given us some data, which in this case is in fixed width. So the width is fixed. First field ends here, second field ends here, third field ends here, fourth field ends here. So all the fields are of the same length or of the same characters or the same width. So these are fixed width files which can again be converted into Excel through the use of Excel. So friends, to recap, we'd have three kind of text files. We could have a delimited file, which could be a tab delimited file, a comma separated values, or any other delimiter could be there. And second type of file is fixed length file, where the width or the length of each of the field is fixed. Then the next step, we'll learn how we can import text file to Excel. Now this import could be in two forms. Either it could be static import, where the data of any text file has been imported into Excel and it remains same. It is static. It doesn't change. But on the other hand, we could have text file where the data could be changing. And every time we have to make the import again. So in such cases, we could also have linked, we could have those text files linked to Excel. So anytime data changes in the original text file, the data also gets modified in the Excel sheet. So either we could have static import, or we could have changing or dynamic import, where the data could change or could be revised. First, we'll try to see how we can import a text file to Excel using the static method. Now to import any text file, in this case, we'll be making the first import of a tab delimited file, where the bank has given us a expired limit list, which is as a tab delimited file. So first we open any blank Excel worksheet and we go to file. In file we have the option of open. In open we'll go to the place where we have already saved these files. In this case, we have this folder where the text files have been saved. But as we see, we can't see that text file, because here what we have is all Excel files. So first we have to change it to text files, and we can see all the text files. Now we'll try to import expired limit tab file. We go to open, and we got a beautiful wizard which in 3 steps will import the text file into Excel. Now as we see, Excel intelligently senses what is the type of file we are trying to import. In this case, because the file is a delimited file which is limited by tabs, Excel has automatically detected delimited. But of course, we can change it. So most of the times what you'll find is Excel automatically determines whether it's a delimited file or it's a fixed width file, and accordingly gives us the option. Now, the next step is, where do we actually want to start the import? In this case, what we find is, initially what we have are some kind of headers. It is safe bank account where sanction limit is expired. So these are headers to that report. But if you look at actual data starts from row 3, which contains the header of account number, account name, sanction limit, so on and so forth, and the data starts after that. So in this case, since the data is starting from row number 3, if you prefer to start the import at row number 3. Now the second step of this is very crucial. We go to next. And now this is a crucial phase where it has automatically selected that this is a tab delimited file, and because it has selected it as a tab delimited file, it has automatically made separators wherever there is a tab. So all the fields have been segregated using the tab. Now here, if the delimiter is some kind of a semicolon, we could take this. In case of comma, this would be the option we could take. And if the delimiter is something else, we go to other and then specify what is the kind of delimiter which is there. Another case could be where we've got different delimiters, like it could have a tab as well as a semicolon. So in this case, if we have tab as well as semicolon, what it will do is, and if a tab and semicolon is there, it will create empty fields. So in this case, what we could do is, we could treat the consecutive delimiters as 1. So these are the options which are available wherever we have different kind of delimiters. Now, you could also have strings in the data, which would be defined by some kind of a text qualifier, which again could be some kind of an apostrophe or a double apostrophe. So in this case, what would happen is, it will treat whatever is between the apostrophe as some kind of a string. So in second step, what we have seen is that based on tabs, it has automatically separated the data into different fields. Then the third step, which is a very, very crucial step, we define what is the kind of data which is there. In this case, Excel automatically intelligently senses what is the kind of data and converts it into that kind of data. So if we have general, that means Excel automatically treats it as some kind of data, and based on it converts it. Now if the first field is left as it is, what will happen is, Excel will treat it as some kind of a number, and because it treats it as a number, the initial zeros will be eliminated, so that our data is distorted. Now here account numbers have got initial zeros, which will all be gone if we treat it as general. So in this case, what we'll do is, we'll make it as a text so that the zeros are preserved. Now the next step is, Excel has got a different way of handling dates. So wherever there are dates, we have to tell Excel that, well, this is a date, and then what is the kind of date it is, whether it is in MDY format or it is in DMY format. So we have whether the year is first or whether date is first. In this case, if you look at, date is in DMY format. So what we'll do is, we'll tell Excel that, well, this is a date which is in DMY format. Similarly, for expiry date also, we'll make it a date which is in DMY format. Now we also have the option, if we don't want to import any column, we can skip it. So what do not import column will do is, that column will not be imported when it goes to Excel. Now these are 3 steps which are there, which are used to define the data which has to be brought within Excel. So after the fields have been defined, we finish it, and what we find is that the data has been imported into Excel. Now to auto-fit it, what we do is, we just press on the topmost left corner and we double click on the on these column separators, so the data is auto fit. Okay, where we got account number, we got account name, sanction limit, sanction date, expiry date, outstanding. So all these things are automatically set by Excel, And if we see it is in proper date formats, and again outstandings are there. So what was a raw text file has been converted into an Excel file. Now this Excel file, you could do any of the Excel operations. You can analyze the data, you can sort it, you can filter it. So whatever you want to do, you can do on this kind of a data. So friends, we have seen how we can import a tab delimited file into Excel. In the next step, we'll see how we can import a fixed width file into Excel. Now to save this file, we go to File, and we save this. It says it may contain features which are not compatible. Do you want to keep the workbook in this format? So if we want to keep it as a text file, we'll keep it as it is. Otherwise, what we'll do is say no. And the file is saved as expired limit tab.xls, where it gives the extension of an Excel file. And the file is now an Excel file. If we can see that the extension has also changed to XLS rather than being a text file. Now we'll see how we can import a fixed width file. Again we go to File, again we go to Open, and in Open we go to expired limits FW, which is a fixed width file, and we select it. And again what we have is a 3-step wizard, which is much the same as the last one. But in this case, you'll observe that Excel has automatically selected fixed width because it has sensed that the file which we are trying to import is a fixed width file. So most of the times what you'll find is Excel automatically decides whether it's a fixed width file or a delimited file, and it selects appropriately. But yes, we have the option to change it. In this case also, again, we import the data from row number 3 because the actual data starts from row number 3. We go to next, and now this step is different as compared to when we had imported the tab delimited file. In this case, if you need it to create a break line, click at desired position. To delete a break line, double click on the line. To move a break line, click and drag it. Right? So we have to define where the data starts and where a field ends. And whenever we bring the cursor to place, wherever there is a line, what you will see is that line is elongated. Now we can drag it wherever we want by pressing the left key. And first field is again up to this place. Second field is up to sanction limit. Third field is okay. But here we don't have a separator. So what we'll do is we come to between where the sanction date ends and expiry date starts, and with a single click what will happen is what we get is a column separator. Again at the end of expiry date, one more column separator is there. Okay, so what we have done is by clicking, double clicking or dragging it, we have defined the various fields. The next step is same as the previous one. We have to define the kind of data. In the first case, since we got preceding zeros, what we'll do is we'll make it as a text so that zeros are preserved. And in this field, sanction date, we'll specify it as a date with a date mask of DMY. And again, the third one will again specify it as a date with the date mask of DMY. All the other options are same. We click on finish and the data is again imported. We select the topmost left corner and we come to any of the column separators just by double clicking it. Again, our whole of the file is converted into Excel file where we could do any kind of meaningful analysis again on the data. Now friends, we have in the process looked at how we can import a tab delimited file or any delimited file again into Excel, and we have also understood how we can import a fixed width file again into Excel using the 3-step wizard. So any of the text files, be it a delimited file or fixed width file, can be imported into Excel. So friends, we have understood how we can import a text file to Excel. Now we could have a scenario where the data is changing, where the organization is having a text file, where the data keeps on changing. So every time we don't need to import data again. We could link up the text file with Excel so that anytime a change is there in the text file, the data in the Excel also gets changed or the data is revised. So we'll also understand how we can link Excel file to a text file so that anytime data is there, it gets refreshed every time there is a change in data. Now we'll understand how we can link the text file to Excel so that anytime there is a change, the data gets refreshed. Again, we open a blank worksheet. We go to data, and in data we have the option of get external data. In get external data, we have the option of getting data from some kind of a text file. So we'll click this option, and again let's try to link it up with the tab delimited data. So what I do is I open this expired tab txt file. Now the next step is same as the previous one. We got this 3-step wizard where it's a delimited file. We'll import it from row number 3 and it is automatically changed. In the next step we keep this as a text file and this as a date field with a date mask of dmy, and this is again a date field with a date mask of dmy, and finish. Now it asks us where do you want to put the data. So do you want to put it in a new worksheet or do you want to put it in an existing worksheet? So in this case, let's put it in the existing worksheet at cell A1. Now what you will find, another thing is, if you go to properties, you can see the different properties which are there. It will save it as a query definition so that anytime the data is changed, you can refresh the query so the data gets refreshed. And then refresh control could be prompt for file name on refresh. That is, whenever you want to refresh the data, it will ask us to specify the file again. But there are other options also, like refresh any so many minutes or refresh data when opening the file. So if we have this option of refresh data when opening the file, then what will happen is anytime the file is opened, the data gets refreshed. Okay. Now we got other options like preserve cell formatting, adjust column width depending on the data. Then if in the original text file some row is inserted, then we have to specify how that has to be handled. Do we want to insert a new row, how it wants us to do it? So all those things have to be specified in the properties. Now once you have specified all the properties, you click OK, the whole thing gets imported, and you see it has automatically fit also according to the requirement. Now we'll see how we can refresh the data. Now let's go to the basic file where the data is there, which is expired limit tab file. Now in the original expired limit tab file, let's change a value. Let's say this Gajan Associates limit is revised to 6. Okay, let's make it 6. Okay, so that limit is now 60 lakhs. We save this file. Okay, now if we go to Excel and we go to refresh the task, it again prompts us to give us a file name. We say it is expired tab, and what we find is, the data has been refreshed. The limit of Gajan Associates has become 60 lakhs. So we can link the text to an Excel file so that anytime there is a change in the original text file, the Excel file also gets changed. So to summarize, we have got two ways of importing text file to Excel. Number one, we could make a static import so that data is imported. The second way is we can link it to the text file so that anytime data gets changed in the text file, the Excel file also gets refreshed. So friends, after learning how we can import the text file into Excel and how to link it again to Excel, we'll also learn how we can export the Excel file into a text file. So in this step, we'll learn to convert a Excel file to a text file, and the steps involved are, let's say we got this Excel file which we have imported again from this, so which is a Excel file which contains the expired limits which are there. And if we want to convert this into a text file, the step is we go to file and we go to save as, and in save as we have got various options. You want to save it as an Excel workbook. Now here, if we save it as a tab delimited file, let's save it in this output folder. So in output folder, we want to have expired limits tab.txt. So the extension in this case would be txt. So if we save this file, it says it may contain features which are not compatible with the delimited file. And do you wish to convert it? Say yes. And your file is now become a txt file which has been saved in the output folder. So let's check what's the kind of file we have. Again, we go to the output folder, and in output folder we have this file which you can see is now a text file. And if we open this file, this is now a text file. So we have seen how we can export a Excel file into a text file. But we might also want to convert this Excel file into a comma separated values. So if we want to convert it into comma separated values, again the steps are same. We go to file, and in file we have the option of save as, and in save as this time, rather than saving it as a text file, we'll be saving it as a CSV file. Okay, so if we save it as a CSV file, then now it becomes a comma separated value file. So we see that we have your expired limits tab CSV, and we can see the symbol of X which shows it is comma separated values. If we open this file also, what we'll find is that this is because comma separated values are supported by Excel, which it converts into some kind of a Excel file. Now in case we want to save this file as a fixed width file, again the steps are same. We go to file, we go to save as, but in this case rather than selecting CSV, we'd be selecting PRN, which we see is formatted text space delimited. That is, where the delimiter is space, it's a fixed width file. We select it as a PRN file, and once we save it, again it asks us whether we want to preserve the features, and we specify yes. What we find is now what we got is a PRN file. Even if we open this file, you can change the extension to txt now. Now we change the extension of this file to txt file. What we find is we have got a file where the field width is or field length is same. So what we have is a fixed width file. So okay friends, we have learned how we can export data or an Excel file to a text file. Now in the next step we'll learn how we can save a workbook to a web page. Because today if we look at, everything is on web pages. Companies have got intranets where data is saved onto the web pages. So we'll also be learning how an Excel workbook can be saved to a web page. Now for this we'll open a blank Excel workbook, and we go to the sheet which is expired limit tab XLS, which is an Excel file which contains expired limits. And in this step we learn how we can publish this onto a web page. See, web page could be a static web page. Okay, it could be a single file web page or a web page. So both options are there in Excel to publish it on a a web page or a single file web page. Now for this we go to the file, and again we go to save as, and in save as we have this option of a single file web page where the extension would be .mst or .mhtml, or there is also an option of web page. In this case we'll publish it as a web page. We select this option, that of a web page. Now see, context is there. We can also publish the entire workbook. We can also publish the entire workbook, and we can give this page some kind of a title. Let's have a title of expired limits, and just by publishing we can publish it. But let's see, there are some more options which are possible now in this. In tools we see there are web options which are there. For the files, organizing supporting flows in a separate folder, use long file names wherever possible. So some options relating to web are also there in this. Now once we go to publish and we publish it, let's say where to publish it, it is giving us a path. Okay, and we also have the option of auto republish every time this workbook is saved, and open published web page in a browser. So all these options are there. We select these options and we go to publish. Now what we have is this Excel sheet has been saved to a web page. Now if we open this with internet browser, again what we find is that we have this. So we have this the Excel data has been published as a web page. Now if we go to folder where this whole thing has been saved and we check it, what we find is we have got expired limit tab.html, which is now an HTML document. So friends, we have also seen how we can publish Excel sheet onto web as a web page. So in this case the Excel sheet has become a web page. And next we'll understand how we can create a web query out of a web page. So in this process we'll be creating a web query out of the web page. Now for this let's open a web page which we've already created out of the data. In this page we have got data which we had already exported from Excel. We'll on the web page we first select all the data using Control A, and then using Control C we'll copy the data. We open a blank Excel worksheet. On this Excel worksheet, if we go to home and then to paste, we have got different options, and here we have the option of to create a refreshable web query. Now in this option we'll see there are these yellow arrows. So we want to select the data which we want to import. In this case if we select this, only the data along with the headers would be imported. Now underneath it, once we select this with this green tick, we come to know that the data has been selected. We go to import, and by importing our whole data is imported. Okay, so we have created a refreshable web query out of the web page. So friends, we have learned how to create a web query out of a web page. Now to summarize, we have understood how we can import a file, a text file into Excel. We have understood how we can export an Excel file onto text, how we can export Excel data or publish Excel data onto a web page, and how to create a web query. So friends, in this chapter we have learned how we can easily take any content or data from another non-office application like text or web and bring it into an Excel. We have also learned how to convert text file in tab delimited or CSV or fixed bit file to Excel file. We have learned how to import Excel data as a refreshable changing dynamic data. Finally, we learned how to create a static web page and a web query out of Excel data. So friends, next time you go for an audit and any of your client gives you data or output of any application, be it a banking application like Pinnacle or any other application or business application or an ERP application where the data is given to you in form of a text file, you can easily convert it into Excel file and you can use it for some kind of data analysis, auditing the data. Thank you, friends. Thank you very much, and we meet again in the next in the video for the next chapter. Thank you, friends. Thank you.